Have you ever felt that, in just a single moment, everything around you seemed to shift slightly, as if the world itself had changed without you realizing it? What if these changes were more than just coincidences or perception errors? What if they were constant movements between different realities that you experience without even noticing? Parallel realities are not merely a concept reserved for science fiction. They are part of a vast field of research in quantum physics, which explores the possibility that infinite versions of reality exist simultaneously. But how does that affect your life? Perhaps in a much more direct way than most people imagine. Every decision, every thought, and every emotion can cause an almost imperceptible shift, a path leading you toward a new version of yourself and the world around you. Often, these transitions are subtle, almost unnoticeable, but sometimes they can be so profound that they challenge your entire understanding of what is real. Understanding the nature of parallel realities means realizing that the present is not fixed but fluid and malleable. The version of you that exists right now may not be the same one that existed a minute ago. Within this constant movement lies the power of transformation. A shift in your perception can completely change the direction of your life and align you with a higher version of yourself. But how do these realities manifest in your daily life? And more importantly, how can you recognize if you've already shifted into a new reality? Today, you will discover the signs that indicate you have moved into a parallel reality. You may have already crossed over into another reality without realizing it. The deeper you dive into this topic, the more you will recognize that the essence of your life is shaped by these invisible changes that continually guide you toward your true potential. If everything around you can shift so subtly that you barely notice it, what is really happening to your reality? The idea of parallel realities might seem complex, yet at its core, it suggests that life is not linear. Instead, we are constantly navigating between different versions of reality, shaped by our decisions, thoughts, and emotions. Imagine your life as a vast ocean full of possibilities, where each wave represents a new version of your reality. With every choice you make, these waves reorganize, creating a new path. This path can be nearly identical to the one before, or completely different. What defines this transition is the state of your consciousness, and often you only recognize the change after it has already occurred. Quantum physics offers a powerful analogy to understand how these transitions occur. Essentially, it teaches us that the universe is made up of probabilities. Every event, every choice creates a range of probabilities that manifest in the reality you are currently living in. Simply put, what you perceive as your present moment is only one version among countless possible realities. When you wake up in the morning and decide to change a habit, you may be laying the foundation for a shift between realities. However, this transition doesn't happen abruptly, it's subtle, almost like the transition from one scene to another in a film. This is where the concept of continuity comes in. Just as a film strip consists of individual frames that, when projected quickly, create the illusion of continuous motion, your life seems like a linear sequence of events. But in truth, you move through different frames of reality every single second. What maintains this illusion of continuity is your mind, which connects these fragmented moments and interprets them as a coherent story. These constant transitions are natural, and you often experience them without realizing it. For instance, when you notice a small change in your environment, something slightly out of place, or an object that seems to have moved, you may have actually shifted into a new reality. These seemingly insignificant changes could be subtle signs that you are moving between parallel realities. And while these transitions may appear small, their impact on your life can be profound. Understanding this concept is key to realizing just how much you truly shape your own experience. You are not merely a passive observer of reality. On the contrary, you are an active creator who constantly influences the various realities unfolding around you. Every choice you make, no matter how minor it seems, has the power to move you into a new reality. But this understanding leads to a deeper question: if we are constantly moving between realities, how can we use this power for our personal growth? How can we align ourselves with the version of us that we truly wish to become? On this journey of self-discovery, learning to recognize these moments of transition can be the first step toward consciously changing your reality. When you pay attention to the small details in your life, you may start noticing that things occasionally appear out of place. Maybe you are absolutely certain where you left your keys, only to find them somewhere else. Or perhaps you feel that something in your surroundings has shifted, even though everything seems the same at first glance. These small adjustments in reality could be some of the most subtle indicators that you are moving between different versions of the world around you. As small as these changes might seem, they carry a deeper meaning. When a parallel reality comes into play, what looks like a simple inconsistency, something misplaced, a sense of discontinuity, may actually be a direct reflection of a transition into another layer of reality. In that moment, you are no longer exactly where you once were. Think of your life as a network of paths, all leading to different destinations. Every choice you make, every emotion you feel, traces these routes. Some deviations are so slight that they go unnoticed, as if you are making tiny course corrections without realizing it. Yet even these micro-adjustments can send you onto an entirely new path. These movements can be as subtle as the sensation of déjà vu, the feeling that you've lived this moment before, but with a small difference. It's like reliving a slightly altered version of the present. Sometimes, the changes are so faint that they only become noticeable over time, as you begin to see a pattern of small shifts in your daily life. Beyond objects being out of place, there are moments when you might sense a shift in your own energy. Perhaps you wake up one morning with an inexplicable sense of clarity, a renewed sense of purpose, as if something within you has suddenly aligned. These are signs that something inside you has shifted, and your outer reality is beginning to reflect that inner change. Recognizing these transitions is the first step to understanding how much you truly influence your own reality. It's not just about noticing a key in a different place, it's about realizing that these small adjustments can be signs of a much greater transformation. These subtle movements are happening constantly, and the more aware you become of them, the more you can use that awareness to consciously shape your future. By aligning yourself with these changes and recognizing them as transitions, you can begin to make more intentional choices. Instead of merely reacting to the world around you, you become a co-creator of your own reality. This mindfulness of detail strengthens your connection to the version of yourself you aspire to become. Making the process of personal growth tangible and present requires more than simple awareness, it demands presence in the moment. Often, we are so absorbed in our routines that we overlook the subtle changes happening around us. When you begin asking yourself questions like, what feels different, or why does this seem out of place, you open a new door of perception, one that leads to a deeper understanding of how your reality is constantly adjusting, shaped by your choices and intentions. The more you tune into these signs, the more aligned you become with the parallel version of yourself. Every small adjustment in reality is an opportunity for reflection. So when something catches your attention, take a moment to ask yourself, how does this change reflect who I am becoming? In this state of awareness, the true power of transformation begins to awaken. Sometimes, you can recall an event from the past with absolute clarity, only to realize later that it didn't happen exactly as you remembered. This phenomenon, when memories seem to shift or adjust in unexpected ways, can be a sign that you've undergone a transition between parallel realities. When we move into a new reality, our memories subtly adapt, creating a new narrative of the past that feels familiar but is not exactly the same. Our memory is not a perfect recording of events. In fact, it is highly malleable. The brain, in its adaptive nature, reconstructs memories each time we access them. This means that every time you remember something, you may be slightly altering the details of that memory. What once seemed clear and unchanging can suddenly appear different or even uncertain. This is what neuroscience calls neural plasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and change by reorganizing its neural connections according to new experiences and information. But this ability to reconstruct is not merely a quirk of the human mind, it is also a mechanism that helps us adapt to the new reality we inhabit. When we consider the concept of parallel realities, this idea gains a new dimension. If each shift into a new reality subtly alters our timeline, it makes sense that our memories would adjust as well. The event that once seemed clear may now hold different details in this new version of reality. What's even more fascinating is that these changes don't happen suddenly. They are so gentle that you may not notice anything at first, until you encounter a new version of that memory. This phenomenon is often linked to the idea of false memories, where you are certain something happened a particular way, yet when you check, the details are different. A well-known example of this is the so-called Mandela effect, in which large groups of people remember an event or fact differently from the documented reality. These differing memories often create unease because they challenge our sense of continuity and stability. Yet this phenomenon is more than just a psychological curiosity, it demonstrates the flexibility of our perception. Neural plasticity shows us that our mind is constantly restructuring and reorganizing memories according to our evolving understanding of reality. This doesn't mean our memories are wrong or invalid, it means they are dynamic interpretations shaped by both experience and context. These small adjustments could be signs that you are accessing this memory from a new reality, where certain aspects of the past have been reinterpreted or reorganized to match your current version of yourself. The more you pay attention to these moments, the clearer it becomes how fluid your perception of the past truly is. And this transformation doesn't just happen around you, it happens within you, reshaping how you connect with your own memories. The big question here is, to what extent is the past you remember truly fixed? If every new version of reality brings new ways to interpret what has already happened, then what really is the past? When we understand how flexible our memories are, we begin to realize that we are not prisoners of what we believe we have experienced. Just as the present is fluid, the past can also be viewed from a new perspective. This understanding gives us power. When we grasp this truth, we can begin to loosen the chains the past has placed on us. Stories of pain, regret, or frustration can be recontextualized. You can free yourself from old narratives that hold you back, knowing that the past you remember might only be one version among many. And just as reality adjusts, you can choose which version of the past you wish to carry forward into your future. Furthermore, science shows us that when we access memories, we activate specific neural networks. As our consciousness expands and changes, these networks are also modified. Each time we recall a memory, it is edited based on our current state. The perception of the past becomes a reflection of who we are now, not just who we were at the time the event occurred. This realization, that the past can also shift as your reality evolves, is truly liberating. It allows you to view your personal history as something fluid, not as something that defines who you are, but as a collection of experiences that can be reinterpreted. As you continue to grow and transform, your memories evolve with you, adjusting to your new reality. At certain moments, reality seems to suddenly break, as if something no longer fits within the expected sequence of events. These moments of discontinuity, when the normal flow of things shifts without logical explanation, can be clear signs that you have crossed into a parallel reality. Moments where something disastrous was narrowly avoided, leaving you perplexed as if time skipped or rearranged itself, can also indicate such a shift. And perhaps, on a deeper level, that is exactly what happened. These breaks in continuity are not just coincidences or perceptual errors. They can be signs that you have, on a quantum level, transitioned into a new version of reality, perhaps one where disaster was avoided. This suggests that your consciousness, faced with a potentially life-changing event, quickly shifted to a reality where the outcome was different from what once seemed inevitable. These transitions can happen so abruptly that the mind tries to rationalize what occurred. You might ask yourself, how did I get out of that situation so quickly, or why does this feel so surreal? When we face such experiences, our logical mind searches for an explanation, but often there is no rational answer that satisfies our doubt. That unsettling feeling that something is off may be a sign that you have shifted realities, jumping into a timeline where the tragic or dramatic outcome did not happen. Such moments of discontinuity are especially common during extreme risk situations, near accidents, or emotional crises where the intensity of the event seems to distort the flow of time. There are accounts of people in near-death experiences describing a pause, time slowing or stopping, and then everything suddenly returning to normal, as if nothing dangerous had occurred. These episodes could be reflections of quantum transitions into another level of reality. This concept is deeply tied to the idea that in every parallel reality, different outcomes exist. In one reality, the accident might have happened, while in another, you escaped unharmed. In moments of high emotional or physical intensity, your consciousness may become more receptive, facilitating this transition between realities. What appears to be an unexplainable event could, in truth, be a reflection of shifting into a version of your life where the outcome was more favorable. These breaks in continuity can also serve as powerful reminders that reality is not as solid as it seems. The rigidity we often assign to our everyday experience may be nothing more than an illusion. When such events occur, they challenge us to rethink what we believe to be real and how reality itself can be shaped. And this opens an entirely new dimension of possibility. If you can shift into a reality where tragedy was avoided, what else might you be able to change or influence in your life? Remember that these unexplainable moments of discontinuity can be seen as opportunities for awakening. They force us to pause and re-examine the world around us, and the role we play in creating our experiences. Instead of fearing or ignoring these events, we can learn to see them as portals to new possibilities, to new paths of existence that are always available to us. Now that you recognize the subtle signs of shifting between realities, small daily adjustments, changes in how you perceive the past, and breaks in continuity, a crucial question arises: what can you do with this knowledge? When these signs are consciously recognized, they empower you to take control of your experience. Knowing that reality is fluid, that time and events are not fixed, allows you to see life as a field of infinite potential. This awareness changes the way you interact with the world, for instead of being a passive observer of events, you become an active creator of your destiny. To shape the reality you wish to live in, it is essential to be aligned with the present moment. The now is the only tangible reality, the point of power from which all future possibilities emerge. When you connect with the present, you align yourself with your ability to transform what is yet to come. By paying attention to what is happening right now, your emotions, thoughts, and actions, you begin to direct the energy of your consciousness toward the reality you wish to manifest. One of the most effective ways to take control of your reality is through visualization. By imagining the ideal version of yourself, you create a mental map that guides your actions and behavior. Visualization is not just positive thinking, it is a powerful act of creation. When you visualize, your brain begins to form new neural pathways that mirror this version of yourself, making it more accessible and real. The key is to visualize in vivid, emotionally engaging detail, so that you feel as though you are already living that desired reality. Alongside visualization, it is important to establish consistent daily habits that reflect this new version of yourself. Small, intentional actions have a cumulative effect. For example, if you want to align with a reality in which you are healthier, you can start by making small adjustments: healthier eating, regular exercise. Though simple, these habits begin to reshape your perception and, ultimately, your reality. Over time, these actions become a natural part of who you are, and the new reality you seek begins to manifest tangibly. Another key aspect of consciously choosing your reality is paying attention to your emotional state. Emotions are powerful indicators of whether you are aligned with or resisting the reality you desire. When you are emotionally in harmony with the reality you wish to experience, you'll find that the path toward it unfolds with greater ease. The concept that we are constantly transitioning, moving between realities, can be viewed as a natural part of personal evolution. Life is, at its core, a continuous cycle of transformation. The version of you that existed a year ago no longer exists, and the version that will exist in the future will be shaped by the choices you make today. Every transition, no matter how small, is a step into a new reality. And the more conscious you become of these shifts, the more you can direct them to align with your goals and desires. When you understand that these transitions are natural, it brings a sense of peace. Instead of resisting change or feeling lost during moments of discontinuity, you can learn to embrace them as part of your evolution. Life is not a straight, stable line, it is a flowing current, and every change is an opportunity to realign with the version of reality that best reflects your true self. The power to choose your reality does not lie in controlling every detail but in becoming aware that, in every moment, you are shaping the world around you through your thoughts, emotions, and actions. This knowledge is liberating because when you realize that reality does not simply happen to you but responds to you, you free yourself from the feeling of powerlessness. So remember, power lies in your hands. Every day, with each choice, you can align more deeply with the ideal version of yourself. And as you do, you'll watch the world around you reshape itself to reflect that new reality. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this video resonated with you, I invite you to like it and subscribe to our channel. Share it with others so they, too, can benefit from this message, and don't forget to leave a comment below to share your thoughts, reflections, and experiences. Thank you again for watching and being here. Wishing you all the best, and see you soon.